Welcome back to African Air Ordnance. Today we're going to be installing the new kit, upgrade kit from African Air Ordnance. But just to show you the differences between the kits, between the factory original, and then the African Air Ordnance kit. Let's start with the transfer port. Just to show you, you can see that there is quite a big difference in the size of the transfer port cavity. Okay. Then we also have the heavy hammer. The Magnum hammer spring. And then this is the original valve, and this is the AA valve. I'm going to show you the difference. The original valve, if you undo it like this, you see there's a massive spring, a big poppet inside there, okay, just like that. And now if we take the AAO one off, we're going to do that. See there's a small poppet, and there's no spring that's to return the poppet after firing. It has an internal spring, just like that. Okay. And part of the reason for getting a spring that way, it allows air to flow easier or better. The other thing that needs to be done is that the transfer port hole in the barrel also needs to be drilled out, and that needs to be drilled out to 6mm. Just put that there. So what we're going to do today is we're going to install the new parts, and we're going to get started with that now. Right, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to install the valve. So it's important to relieve pressure on this O-ring, and we are going to just unscrew it so that's slack. We're also going to put a bit of silicone grease on the O-ring, and this is just to lube it up, so it stops it over time cracking. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we are going to push the valve and valve body into the receiver. Just push it in. Okay, just like that. So what you can do is just to make this that this is aligned. I just want to make sure all these holes are aligned here. Alright, we're going to put in a screw. Just like that. There's 4 that go in here. Okay, the other 2 go in when we put the receiver back in. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our long screwdriver, long rod. We are going to insert it until we find the slot in the valve end cap. Just going to tighten it nice and tight. Like that. So I'm just going to take that, tighten it nicely. That's nice and tight. Alright. Yeah, we don't need that anymore. And what I like to do at this point is I like to give it a nice spray of silicone oil into the air tube. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to install the end cap. give these O-rings another spray of oil. Okay. Screw that in. And it's also important to know that this end cap has to go in so that the shoulder that's sticking out at the moment is slightly below the shoulder of this air tube. Okay. Just like that. And this trunking has got to come, this piece of trunking or plastic spacer has to come in line with that. Right. So next thing is we're going to install the Nubu transfer port. And I think before that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go and insert, this is the adjuster for the power adjuster. I'm going to insert that in and we're going to put it back in. This is actually easy to do at the beginning, but we can also do it this way. So just there she goes on, just like that. Okay. Just like that, so the adjuster's back in. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the new transfer port. Make sure that the O-ring's on. Okay. There we go. So that needs to go in the transfer port slot. Just like that. So alright, so we made sure that the transfer port is in the correct position. The next thing we do is we're going to take the receiver casing, which is this part here, we're going to slide it on. Just like that. Just like that, so you can push it in all the way until the holes line up here. Okay. There you go. Just move that side block back. The front side block, we're gonna actually push this all the way back to close that up. So we've just gotta get in there. This can be quite difficult to do, but it went on quite nicely that time. Right. Next thing is you can just put one of the retaining rings in place. Just like, and we just goes on. Not always. There you go. Alright. That's just holding everything in place. Next thing. We're going to take the big screws and we want to screw them into the receiver, holding this receiver casing on. Also holds the valve in place. Turn it over and do the other one. Okay. And you want to do these nice and tight, but not over tight. Alright, so that's that part. So we want to set the power adjuster wheel, which is this. I'm going to set that in, right about there, drop it in. And then this is just the retainer for the power wheel, adjuster wheel. This can be a bit tricky to get in sometimes. It's a matter of being a bit finicky, these guys. Retainer pin home. Sometimes you have to wiggle this around just to get it lined up, and then it should go in there. So there's the power adjuster wheel that's been put in, installed. All right, is the hammer and the hammer spring. This can be quite difficult because obviously the spring is a lot stronger than the original, and that goes. Just pull the trigger. So the next thing we want to do is we want to actually reinstall the cocking lever. So we've got to put in there. Okay, I'm going to take that pin, push it in like that. Just like that. Okay, and that's the cocking lever retaining pin in. Next thing I want to put the this is the pin or the screw that connects the cock lever to the bolt probe, okay, which also is connected to the hammer. So we just want to put that back in like that. Okay, make sure it's nice and tight. You just want to flip it over, and we just want to make sure that it's in the mag indexer. Okay, so it's flush. Next thing we want to do is we want to put the pin in that connects the probe, the pellet probe, to the hammer. Like that. Screw that in. So now when you go to cock it, it moves everything back, like just like that. Next thing you want to do is we want to put this part back in. It's quite finicky because of the tiny little screws. So we're just going to take it like this. I'm just going to slide it in, just like that. Hopefully the screws stay in place, just like that. So this can be finicky because these screws are so tiny. So let's hope we get this in without too many hassles. Okay. The stock ones, the factory screws are actually like little star or Phillips heads. I changed them out to these flat heads just because they tend to wear better. This little screw can be quite finicky. Just like that. So screw them in. I do apologize for but they are very, very finicky little screws. Okay. So make sure that can move up and down freely. So next thing we want to do is we want to put we want to compress the spring back in. So first we got to take 2 fingers, we got to push this in. And we get the punch in just like that. Okay. So we're going to slightly withdraw the punch, just like that. And we want to take the split pin. So now we want to just tap this. Tap this in. And it's also nice to have your finger on the back of this. Makes it a bit easier. So there's the hammer spring now back in. You can just make sure that it cocks. There you go. And we're going to decock that. So that's the hammer spring installed. Next thing is we want to put the receiver cover back on. Okay. Just like that. And this just fits in and just shuts down over like that. Okay, so here we're going to do is we're going to put the little screw. It holds these two together. Put that back in. Just like that. Okay, the next screw is this back one here. Goes in. Again, you don't want to over tighten these screws, just want to get them until they kind of come to a stop, and then don't over, just kind of give it a little bit. All right, so that's that all together. Next thing is we want to put the foregrip back on, so we want to put this piece back in. This goes over goes right here, just like that. We'll make sure that it sits up straight, just like that. We want to then slide the wooden foregrip, and the best way to do this is actually at an angle, just like that, and it should slot in nicely. I'm going to push that screw in. Obviously you don't want to do it too tight. Alright, and then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put this last retaining ring on. I'd hope I've it the right way. The aluminium retaining ring on it. And I don't over tighten these just in case I want to service the gun. Just like that. So there you have it, the installation of the African Air Ordnance upgrade kit for the Sumatra 2500 500cc. One key thing is when you first fill the rifle is make sure to cock the rifle so that it allows the valve to close before you first fill. Guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and have a great day.